get your polyfills. If you go to this website on the GitHub site, GitHub's is really taken off in popularity lately, invented by the guy who created Linux for that matter, for storing source code. You'll find Modernizer out there as well as a lot of the other JavaScript libraries and polyfills. And there's this excellent link here for all the most popular and well-functioning polyfills. That's why I have the web address up here. It's under the Modernizer link, and it's under the wiki, and you'll see it says HTML5 cross-browser polyfills. Now, I had to cut the bottom off this screenshot because they have an expletive on the screen. Don't let that throw you off. It's an excellent list of all the polyfills that are out there. It just says it's an OBS list of polyfills, and I just thought, well, I don't need to show that up on the screen here. I don't need to offend anybody. But know that this is an excellent list that you can scroll through. It's all categorized based on the types of polyfills. Like you go to the Canvas section, you go to the audio section, the video section, the form section, or whatever else you're trying to make up. It'll show you all the most popular polyfills where you can download them from across the web. So it's pretty cool stuff. You can get to this list from the Modernizer site, too. WebForms 2.0. WebForms 2.0 was created originally, and this was the brainchild of HTML5. This is where it all started with WebForms 2.0 with some new tags, not just the content tags we've already looked at, but also the new tags that are actually like the new input types as well. Most of them were created by the Opera team. Thus, that's why most of them are supported by the Opera browser, whereas most of them are not supported by any of the other browsers out there. Here's that output tag I was talking about. All it has is a basic ID, and it's perfect for displaying the result of a calculation, for example, maybe from some JavaScript that's running on the page. It could be a target saying, oh, I've performed these calculations based on these three other tags. I'm going to write the result into this result tag. Using this output tag. So we got a new tag here just for results. We got another one here that doesn't display anything, but it's an excellent way of displaying a list of possible values that could be bound to one of the input tags. Like, let's say, for example, we have input type equals, input and then type equals text. If you also set its data list property up, then it can be bound to this guy called color list. And when they click on the actual text box, these are the three possible values that will actually show up in the IntelliSense. They can choose from any of these three values. So data list is a great way of locking the type of content that can appear in a particular text box and help the user fill it out correctly. Kind of like a drop-down list. Data list can be used with more than just the input type as well. And it can be used across multiple input types. Progress and meter do look a heck of a lot alike, admittedly. But remember, progress is about displaying the current status of things, whereas meter might be something the user would interact with. You notice how I have different ranges here from value 0 to max 100, value 0 to max 50. I'd be interested to see if they ever do roll these two together in the future. Audio and video. We are victims of politics. Basically, money. Problem is, Apple and Microsoft love MPEG because they're a member of a group who manages the MPEG standards for MP3 and MP4s. They receive money when their technologies are used, part of the licensing process. None of the other web browser companies are part of this, so Apple and Microsoft insist on only supporting MP3s and MP4s, whereas Google, Opera, and Firefox like to support any other codecs that runs for free. And so then guess what, guys? We suffer. Let me show you what happens here. Well, lo and behold, he's totally surprised here, but IE9 and Safari are the only ones that support MP3 and MP4, and for some reason they're not supporting this new WebM functionality that Google actually went out of the way and bought, decided to share with everybody. It was very fantastic of them. Or the OGG and OGV formats that they also support. Technically, you might be able to get the MP4 functionality to work in Chrome. They hinted over and over and over they were going to remove it from Chrome, but I still see it working. So I don't know if they've actually dropped it from Chrome or not. It's been a year. A year ago, they said, yeah, we're going to drop MP3, MP4 from Chrome. So that's why it's not checked here, because they were continuing to threaten that they were going to remove it from Chrome. But last I tested it, it was still working. Also, keep in mind that other browsers that have multiple rendering engines, such as the Maxdime browser, well, it's going to support all of these. The markup of audio and video tags is incredibly simplistic. It's fantastic. It makes it easy for us as web developers. You use the audio tag, and optionally, you can use those other attributes in my audio tag. You'll notice I have it set to controls. That means I want the controls to be displayed. Just to put in a simple little attribute there. And autoplay means it's going to start up as soon as the page is loaded. The way we get around the fact that different browsers support different media types is what we'll have to do is put in multiple source tags. That also means we have to go out of our way, on our own machines and convert our audios from one codec to another. For an example, I have to convert my MP3 to OGG as well to be supported by the other browsers. You can see I have a little paragraph there in case they don't support the audio tag at all. This will just show up, but otherwise it does not show up about their browser not supporting audio. Very important little tip, like one of the early versions of the iPad when it was first released, only would read the first source tag. And if it didn't understand what the first source tag was, it didn't normally go to the second source tag, and it would just flat out refuse to play. So that's why it's important to always put your MP3 or MP4s first for that old version of an iPad, because that's kind of a bug in that operating system. But other than that, all the other browsers out there that support the audio and video tags will work their way from top down looking for a audio or video type, and if they find one that they can play, they'll use that one. Take a look at that video tag down below. It's almost identical to the audio tag, except it's got a width and a height attributes being set. And of course, the type of audio and video is slightly different as well. We can see that MP4 for video type versus MP3, and we still have our same paragraph if they don't support the video tag. Another problem with audio and video that might give us some resistance in the industry is the fact that there's really no security here. I mean, anybody can view source on a web page and say, oh, there's the file, I can just go ahead and download that. Versus when we have Flash or some of these other techniques, we could at least go ahead and lock them down into streaming, so it's tougher for people to go ahead and download. Although the real hackers are still able to get it anyways. They're just making life harder for us, the regular web developers and users. I should also go back to this WebM, because this is something that YouTube has been experimenting with. I believe they have some WebM versions of their videos as well. So you may want to take a look at that on the YouTube site. If for some reason your browser doesn't support audio or video and you want to offer a codec that may still be supported, this person named Croc Heyman has offered a little script anybody can download for free. It's called Video for Everybody, and it allows you to fall back to actually using a Flash video. If for some reason somebody's using a browser and doesn't support the other two, you can still fall back to Flash. So it's kind of a handy little script that anybody can download. If you just Google Video for Everybody, you can find this little script. It's not terribly complicated by any means, but it's kind of a neat little script nonetheless. Final section here, guys. You've been hanging in there for about an hour and a half. Good job. So this last piece here is going to be on CSS3, Svg, and Canvas. And I'm going to touch slightly on this stuff here. CSS3, of course, has been around for a while, and you can see how old it is. Back in 96, we got the first version, and 2.1 came out in July of 2007. While CSS3 has not officially been recommended yet, some browsers, of course, started adding in some features. Even IE8 had some CSS3 features. Unfortunately, in order to take advantage of some of the really cool features of CSS3, you're going to have to use these things called vendor prefixes. A vendor prefix is literally something you'll add to your CSS file, such as a dash, and then some letters that represent the vendor browser's company, and then a dash, and then the normal element that would be used in the CSS. They're doing this because they haven't completely finished it and standardized it in their browser, and they know that it's a moving target. CSS3 is not completely standardized yet. Because some of the tags or attributes might change, they're just using their vendor prefixes temporarily until the CSS3 has been concretized or set in concrete, if you will, so that we know when it has been set.